What is up, y'all? It's your girl, Brand New, and honey, I am back in the building. This time, honey, I'm back to talk about my favorite housewife of all time, honey, Miss Nene Leakes, honey, okay? Let's break down this interview, honey, she did with Mr. Carlos King, honey, okay? Okay, so first things first. Nene was the most requested guest that people wanted Carlos King to interview. And I was wondering, like, dang, what is taking Nene so long? I was doubting if she was ever going to sit down with Carlos. But I'm glad she did. I'm glad she did it when she was ready, because her and Carlos both mentioned when he asked her to originally do it, she wasn't ready and she wasn't in the right headspace. So I'm glad that she waited, because baby, this interview has been trending. Everybody has been talking about it. I really feel like this interview is going to put Nene back on the map. Okay. Nene talked about her son BRYSON and how he has been struggling with addiction issues for years. I believe Lamar Odom and her friend John that she dated in the past have both offered to send BRYSON away to a treatment center. Okay, so I feel like that is good. Okay, she still had on the Rolex, honey, that Mr. John gave her. Bitches is mad. Bitches is mad. Remember, she used to say that? I thought that was so funny back then. She talked about Sheree, leaving her off the list. Y'all remember for Sheree's party she was throwing. I knew that Sheree did that on purpose. It felt like it was done on purpose. I didn't like Sheree back then. I always got this stuffy and cold, superficial, elitist attitude from Sheree. She gave off fake bougie. Okay, going to the courts, honey, and her designer labels, and then begging Big Bob, honey, for child support, and then didn't want to send his ass to jail. I'm like, girl, if you don't send this nigga to jail and keep it moving, okay, like, Sheree, like, what is going on? I just never seen it, you guys. For Sheree. Now, like Nene said in her interview, you know, Sheree has played her part on the show. She has had some iconic reads. Who go check me, boo? I love that argument she had with the guy Anthony. I love the exchange her and Kenya had. Okay. I love when she pulled Kim's wig, honey. That was funny. You know, Sheree can really, you know, give it to the girls when she wants to. But I always felt like she held back and she just wasn't genuine all the time. Not enough to be a star of the show, right? I think the stars of Real Housewives of Atlanta, you know, are Nene, of course, who is in a lane all by herself, because Candy is not a Nene, but Candy is Atlanta, and you know, she has Mama Joyce and Todd and them aunties, honey, and the kids and Carmen and Don Juan, and you know, she brought a lot, right, with just having her family and her business life play out on the show. Kenya, you know, is a star of the show because Kenya knows how to get the party going, honey. I took notice of that when season 5, when she was out on that boat and everybody like was scared that their wig was going to fly off, but Kenya wasn't scared. Kenya was like, honey, I'm here to turn it up a notch, and then she got to do all that damn twirling. I was with Nene like, what the hell? We ain't never seen this on the show. So yeah, her and Portia, you know, they definitely took this show, you know, to another level, but they did And I will say specifically, Kenya brought the show back down with all her Lifetime movie character theatrics with the fake boyfriends. And I want to say this, because people always like to say, well, Portia had fake boyfriends too. There's a difference between her and Kenya. Kenya was with Walter, right? She wanted us to believe that her and Walter was this serious couple. And she wanted to marry him just for them to get out in Anguilla. And Kenya is serving up all this confusion. And I told y'all, God is not the author of confusion, honey. Kenya Moore is. She was doing too much. You want us to believe, you want to get engaged to be married to this guy, you want to have his baby, right? You are begging him for that. That's how I knew the bitch had low self-esteem. Then you are flirting with another lady's husband, you pushing him into the pool. He pick you up, throw you into the pool. All of that is inappropriate. Right? She was flirting with a lot of men on that Anguilla trip. She had her ass all on Peter dancing, inappropriate. Right? You know, so like, Kenya, girl, you was doing a lot. Did it make for good TV back then? It did. It really made the show like interesting. But I feel like some of what Kenya did, you know, to stand out on the show and to be a star of the show was also her downfall. Because when you behave like that, you will get looked at as a tramp, as a trollop. And she got mad and hurt that Phaedra kept calling her that. And it's like, girl, you made your bed. Now you gotta lay in it, Kenya. Okay, and that's why Apollo lied on her, and that's why it was believable, because we had already seen the behavior. We had already seen her flirting with him, and Apollo is fine, and you don't talk like that about somebody else's husband. Okay, I'm just saying. And another thing with the whole Portia comparison, and Portia had fake boyfriends. Like I said before, Cordell was real. Cordell tried to, well, he didn't try. He controlled Portia in that marriage. Dennis, you know, cheated on her while she was pregnant. You had the guy Todd. Now that was, you know, kind of questionable, but to me, they had some chemistry. The only thing about it was Portia didn't like him because he quit his damn job to be with her. And y'all know Portia is about them coins. Okay, she is about them coins. She stopped feeling all, you know, warm and fuzzy towards that guy Todd, honey, once he quit that damn job. Okay, so she had the guy Duke. I don't remember any of those guys speaking out saying that Portia paid them to be on the show. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I never remember getting that. With Kenya, we would get that feedback. There's an interview out here that Walter did where he said Kenya asked him to play her boyfriend. Okay, and let's not forget how Twirl acted when Walter didn't want to be with her. Okay, like she began throwing him under the bus. He gay, and you know, he this and he that, and you know, she didn't want the other girls to talk to him. She didn't want Nene to invite him to her wedding. And even Cynthia was like, girl, if you see this man at one of the events, make sure you looking good. Why are you letting this man control your life? So like Kenya hustled backwards and played her cards all the way wrong. I know some people will say, well, Portia was calling Cordell gay. Well, there was actual speculation out here, right? Where people was accusing him of that because of certain situations I'm not going to get into. But, you know, it was certain things in the media that had already circulated about him allegedly, you know, going the other way. So, you know, if she noticed certain things in her marriage with him, and if she, you know, came out and said it, you know, after, you know, or during their divorce, hell, she's hurt. He really dogged her. He really played her. He didn't allow her to be herself. You know, on this here show, he tried to make her choose. It's me or your friends. That's not a loving, caring man, right? You know, so I always understood, you know, Portia. when it came to that. Like, and y'all remember how he put her damn dress in that damn box and he broke up with the girl on Twitter. Come on now. Come on. That's gonna piss anybody off and you go drag their ass. Okay, even the stuff out here that had been out for a while about Cordell, you go bring that shit up too to try to hurt that man, because he hurt her. He really did dog that girl. We had the relationship that Kenya had with Matt, where he called her manipulative and fundamentally deceptive. Their relationship looked funny because she kept breaking up with Matt, getting back together. He is violent, but she was like, no, he's never hit me. Girl, you're next, twirl. Okay, you are next, boo-boo. Okay, oatmeal pie face. Okay, what did he do? Spray paint her camera. Then she had sex with him in a truck. Like, Kenya was using that man for a storyline. Okay? And Kenya, I think, once spoke out and said, yeah, but, those episodes with Matt, those are the highest rated. Who talk like that? Somebody that set the shit up on purpose. You can't tell me otherwise. Okay, Team Twirl? So, yeah, like, fake. Break up with this man. Don't put yourself through all of that. This situation with Mark, like, it was an agreement. It has to be. Now, you guys, I'm hearing that Mark wants to use Brooklyn to be on another reality show, but meanwhile, he been fighting Kenya for all these years to not have a baby shown on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Make that make sense. Like, yeah, like, ooh, their marriage, fake. Just fake. That marriage ended as soon as that girl, it seemed like, dropped that baby, and then they had this long distance marriage. It didn't look like he ever loved or cared for her. Maybe he switched up on her, right? That's what narcissists do. I believe that Mark is a narcissist because of, it's all in how you break up with somebody if they don't let you go, or they still are out here running your name into the ground and trying to be attached to you for the rest of their life. Like, that is what narcissists do. Okay? So, yeah, Mark, yeah, something wrong with him. Nene also talked about Phaedra denying her due date. That didn't make for good reality TV. Phaedra has been called out several times for lying on this show. The whole situation with Candy. And we not gonna get into all of that, but hopefully she don't bring none of that bullshiggity honey to Married to Medicine. Okay, because that's a good show, Savannah. Okay, Phaedra, don't mess it up. And I mean that literally. Don't be doing all that lying. And, Phaedra always was eccentric. And, Nene also mentioned she didn't really want her on the show. Yeah, she kind of knew of her from Athens, but they wasn't cool like that. And Nene felt like, this is my baby. I don't want to share the spotlight with her. I didn't think Phaedra was good for the show at first. I was so underwhelmed by her. Phaedra was one of those people that really proved herself over time. I think about season 5, I started to see it for Phaedra and forward. Her makeup and hair, everything got better with her. Her reads were classy. She didn't curse, and, she didn't have to be super aggressive with the girls to get them together. Like, that girl is a wordsmith. She's a Scorpio. Okay? I'm a Scorpio. Shout out to Melody Cherie, honey. Okay? But yeah, like, that's what Phaedra was giving. Nene also mentioned how back in the day they were really, real housewives. They didn't work. Their husbands took care of them. Sheree was really going through a divorce. Kim was really over there with Big Papa. Okay, somebody else's husband, honey. Carlos talked to Nene about her close your legs to married men statement, and a lot of people read Nene for that. Like, you said that about Kim, but girl, you over there doing it because YONI is married. But Nene said that YONI is was separated, when she first got with him and, was in the process of going through a divorce. He is divorced now. He is single, unlike Big Papa. And there is a difference because Big Papa is still married to his wife, and his wife is named Kimberly. Okay, just like Kim. And she shouted them out. Hey, Kim and Lee. I think that's what she said. That man's name is, honey. Don't quote me. But she also mentioned that they pay for events out of their own pockets. Nene says that she made $10,000 on the first season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. They only got $5,000 for the reunion. Nene also talked about how people accused her of changing, after season 1. Who doesn't change with fame and money? And I feel like when people talk like that, they have a unrealistic expectation on her as a human being. Nene talked about how, fans of the show always picked her and the other ladies apart, judging them on their wigs, their weaves, their skin, their bodies. And then once they change it, they criticize them even more, saying that they are insecure, they never loved themselves, and why did they have to change? And it's just like one of them things where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So when I hear that type of stuff, I get irritated. Carlos recently did a video on, all the love that him and Nene got for doing this interview, and how a lot of people were saying, well, we finally got the real Nene Leakes back, and, she's back to herself, and like, that irritates me too, because Nene has been through a lot. She lost her best friend, Cynthia. Y'all know that Cynthia and Nene, they were really friends. Closer than Cynthia and Kenya, which to me was more of a alliance friendship. But I think it kind of started with like losing Cynthia. Cynthia backstabbed her. She said she tried to get her fired from the show. Greg's battle with cancer. Every season she comes back, the girls are all targeting her. And I told y'all the threat, honey, is always the target. They're ganging up on her, making alliances against her. If there's a new woman on the show, she's coming for her. It all began to be a lot. She had to fight with Bravo about what she should be paid, because it's one of them things where it's like, if I'm going to always be the damn villain, I need to be the best paid villain out there. And Bravo didn't want to pay her the way they would pay her white counterparts, the Teresa, Giudices, and however you say her name, and the other white women that are on these shows. So when people try to act like there is no racism on Bravo, I just get really irritated. Y'all know damn well that is what's going on. Okay, that is what's going on. And then when the black woman asks for her coins, and she tried to be nice about it at first, right? Tried to work things out. They didn't want to do it because that's how a lot of white people are. They don't want to be called out for their bad behavior. And then I will hear black content creators saying, well, you can't call your boss a racist. Why the fuck not if it's true? And if that's your experience, ain't none of y'all in her damn shoes. And if you are really looking, if you are really being fair and objective, you can see that that's what they do. Look at Kim Zolciak, how she didn't even want to film season 5, didn't want to go out on any trips, but was always invited back to the show. Allegedly, they may be getting Kim back on the show. Now I'm against it, because I'm like, girl, I feel like you playing with the people. You need to just go on about your business. And then we got all this juicy stuff with Drew and Ralph, honey. So bye, Kim. Bye, girl. Bye, wig. Okay, you going on over there to Zeus or somebody. Okay, but yeah, they do show favoritism towards even Kim, who is not even on Nene's level. as far as being funny, being relatable, being, the star of the show. Like, y'all gotta admit that type of stuff, but a lot of people, they don't want to admit to that type of stuff, which is sad, but it's true. We even watched Nene try to, warn Candy season 2 about tardy for the party. She told Candy that Kim was a liar. Kim go backstab you. She go do this. And what did Candy say? Okay, what did Candy say? Well, she could do the song without you, because Nene was like, no, I think she really need me on the song, right? And her song that's out here, honey, is really big. It's really good. Nene's song, it's everything. It's way better than Tardy for the Party. You can't take that from her. But yeah, that damn Candy wanted to go against Nene season 2. And I'm not gonna lie, I could be objective and say that Nene shouldn't have been saying, well, you can't sell the song without me, even though it may be true. It was kind of rude and rather rash, right? But everything that Nene said, it ended up playing out. Okay, Kim ended up using Candy, made all that money on Tardy for the Party, didn't even want to pay Candy. Candy down to the reunions, honey, crying. Okay, I think it was a few reunions. She was crying about that situation with Kim, and Nene tried to warn her ass. But Candy always wanted to go up against Nene. She did that, season 2. But remember, Candy said Nene was her favorite at first. So, yeah. But once she got on the show, she wasn't her favorite no more. Season 7, I was just watching. She was going up against Nene. And, Nene and Phaedra was, getting cool. And she never wanted Nene to have an ally on the show. These girls, and that's how people are in life in general, they feel like, well, you so strong, you can stand by yourself. We don't want you to have nobody. That's just very, disrespectful to me to be like that and dismissive. I have another video I'm going to be working on about Candy, I should say, with her lacking empathy, because she does lack empathy. She does. Phaedra needed her when Apollo was going to prison, and Candy couldn't be there for her. She was mad about her damn play. And Phaedra was like, you're still a millionaire. Like, damn, what's the problem? Candy can be very selfish, you guys. And I didn't realize that until I started really watching season 7. I was like, damn, Candy, you are just so narcissistic. You all about you. She never would check in on Phaedra. Nene did. And she had such an attitude with that. How you gonna forgive Nene? And, y'all was just into it. And, god dang. Can people change? Can people make up? Remember, season 12, her and Kenya didn't want Nene and Portia to make up. It's just damn, y'all always hating. Okay? Child, make it make sense. But yeah, I'm gonna get that together, when it comes to Candy, because I told y'all, she not Miss Innocent. Okay? She's not. Yeah, she may know how to be neutral, on the show, probably a little bit more than Nene, but y'all gotta remember, Real Housewives of Atlanta is really personal to Nene, because Nene was there for the pilot, and the pilot didn't include Lisa Wu Hartwell and Deshaun Snow. I don't think it included them. It was just kind of Sheree, Kim, and Nene, right? So that's why the show is so personal to Nene. Okay, guys, I'm getting ready to play the audio of Nene, and she gets to talking about when she felt like Real Housewives of Atlanta began to change for the worse. So let's check that out.
Things change on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. When did you feel like, as an OG, we have the number one show as Black girls, which was a huge feat, and I was lucky to have a front row seat in that success. When did you feel like the show was changing and not what you started off as enjoying the show?
I think it started to really change probably season 4 for me. Season 3 is when they brought on, I think, Cynthia and Phaedra, and I think Kenya came on, or she came
that was 5.
4.
Season 3 was Phaedra and
Okay,
Cynthia.
Well, whenever Kenya came on, it was 4 or 5. That's when I think it changed.
Why?
I don't know. I think all these things started. So for instance, when me and Lisa and Deshaun and Sheree, all of us started, they were our real husbands and our real boyfriends. Sheree was really married to Bob, and they really were going through a divorce. Deshaun was really married to Eric, and they started to have their issues. Lisa was really with what's his name? Ed Hartwell. I was really with Greg. Kim was really with Big Papa. Our stories were real. Everything we talked about and did was real. When we had disagreements, they were real. We didn't pretend like we had a boyfriend and we didn't have one. I mean, and then I think once Kenya came on the show, I'm not saying that Kenya started it or did it, but I'm saying at that moment it started to be let's create our storyline. Well, we didn't create a storyline. We just showed up to work and just was filming and being who we are. They started having boyfriends. They weren't really their boyfriends. And that kind of stuff to me changed the dynamic of the show. To me, if you didn't have a boyfriend, you just didn't have a boyfriend. And that's how it should have been shot. I believe now looking back as far as reality is concerned, like, shoot, it is what it is. Like, don't try to create things like, we want to see your dating life. Well, I don't have a freaking date. So then shoot that. I don't have a date. Opposed to putting pressure on me to go out and find some random dude that I'm really not dating, I'm really not into, just to please production.
And I do believe Nene when she says maybe production got on Kenya about that. That's probably why Kenya felt the need to hire these fake boyfriends. When people say, well, other women did that, Eva didn't do that. Eva was really with Mike. Shamari was really with Ronnie. Candy was really with Todd and was really with AJ. Kim was really with Big Papa and Croy. Sheree was really divorcing Bob Whitfield. You know, we seen her out on dates. It didn't seem fake to me. It just didn't until I seen Kenya. And I remember what Nene said, I believe it was season 5 when they was out of town. She was like, they don't seem like they are in a real relationship. And it was Kenya's obnoxious behavior. Okay, she was confusing her cast members. She was confusing the audience because it was like, you want to have this future and have this baby with Walter, but yet you're flirting with Apollo. And then, you know, it was different men out at the resort she was flirting with in front of Walter. That's not something that a lady does and she has a man, you know, so it's just like, what's real, what's fake? I told y'all that was Kenya's downfall. She perpetuated her reputation by acting like that. Like, you gave people a reason to feel like, yeah, your relationships are fake. They're not real. Then when you went and eloped with Mark, we didn't see Nene elope. We didn't see Candy elope. Cynthia then got married twice on the show. Portia came in married. You know, like, what gives you the right to do that when you have already scrutinized and judged and criticized everybody else's marriage on the show, but then when you run off and do it, we supposed to just respect you? No, and then she didn't want to hear the, you know, criticisms from the other girl about her marriage. You know, no, that's not how the game works. You have to be a equal and fair participant. Okay? And, you know, and like I said, all of that was Kenya's undoing. That's why that ass was not really invited back season 11. Maybe they offered her less money and she turned it down and wanted to, you know, ride out her pregnancy with Brooklyn. But she brought her big pregnant ass back for Cynthia's wine cooler event. She was in the house for that because she wanted that damn check for season 12. Because I don't believe even then stuff was working out with her and Mark. I just always felt like all of this was for storyline. Kenya didn't have to marry Mark. She could have just had Brooklyn. And we would have respected that. It's a lot of women that just have babies and don't want to be married. Live in your truth, whatever that is. You know? So, like I said, that was her undoing.
Why don't you guys film me looking for a date or talking on the phone to some guy I've just been talking to for a couple of weeks rather than making me pretend I'm out on a date with somebody? I thought things started to change right about then. Can you go with us to South Africa?
No, so that was the thing. So that was season 5. So okay. Season 4 was South Africa, and Mark. It was you, Sheree, Cynthia, Phaedra, Candy. Yeah. Am I missing anybody? It was
Marlo. Marlo went to Africa.
Marlo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Kim was still on the show, but she didn't go to Africa.
She didn't go to Africa.
Yeah.
She didn't go to any trips.
No. So you think Kenya changed the direction of the show?
I think, I hate to say she was the one that actually changed it, but to me, that's when things started to change, right about then.
In a negative way.
I felt like people started to create storylines and pretend to have boyfriends, and all of those things, to me, my opinion, does not make for a good reality show. I think reality shows are exactly what it says, reality, what is really happening. And I think everybody started to change then. Now, prior to her, I think, I may get some of my seasons mixed up. Prior to her, I think Phaedra and Cynthia were on prior to.
Yeah, Phaedra
started to not want to show, like, I think she showed her pregnancy because she was pregnant the whole time, but she wasn't sure about how far along she was and all of those kind of things.
There's chicks in the hood who don't know who they're pregnant by and know how far along they are.
Exactly.
Come on, Carlos. There's actually a YouTuber that I really love, but I didn't like her comments about this interview. She began saying, well, it just seems like Carlos is so obsessed with Real Housewives of Atlanta and his tenure on the show. Y'all gotta remember, he is what helped to, he is somebody that helped to build Real Housewives of Atlanta and made it into what it was. Okay? This is his baby too, in a sense. So when something is your baby and you put a lot into it with your producing skills, with you having a relationship with these women, not only on camera, but off camera. Okay, because he's cool with all of them. Y'all got to give him that. A lot of these producers, they just want their check. They don't care if the show is great. Real Housewives of Potomac, okay? Which, that's what we saw last season play out on that show. Hopefully they step that up, for this upcoming season. But yeah, of course he has an opinion. His baby is going down the drain. It's sinking like the Titanic. I think it's kind of normal, though, for a show to decline after all these years. It's hard to keep up the momentum of such a great, iconic show. But hell, they don't want to pay people. They don't. They don't want to put people in position, people of color. They always helping out their own kind. But, and that's why I always felt like there was a sense of slavery over there at Bravo. Like, yeah, we gonna really work the black talent. They really got to bring it all. And then all you got to do, with some of these other women on these shows is be white, show up. You ain't got to show too much of your life. You don't even have to go out on trips. Do you see what I'm saying? How there's a bias towards their, own kind versus these black women that work hard. Why should Nene's money decrease every year? That doesn't make any sense when she is the star of the show and everybody's gunning for her. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, and that's not fair. Y'all know damn well y'all would not go up for that at your job. So why would you expect for her to, allow them to do that with her work? Like, make that make sense. Whether you like Nene or not, shout out to Funky Doniva, fair exchange is not robbery, but it is robbery when you're not being fair. You're not paying somebody what they deserve. Okay? They also talked about her, allegedly emasculating Greg, and she began to make more money than him. And I'm kind of sick of that whole thing with men. Like, women have dreams, and everything is not about you. I love Greg. I'm sure it was hard for him to support his wife financially and their children for all these years. And now, she making her own money. But just because a woman has her own money doesn't mean she doesn't need her husband. Okay? You have to be happy for people. You have to support people. And, Nene talked about how hard that was for Greg because he felt like she didn't need him anymore. They talked about how every man wants to feel wanted, wants to feel needed, but women want to feel like that too. We all want to feel like we mean something to our spouse. Okay, whether it be your husband or your boyfriend, you want them to need and want you and see you for being a valuable team player. So what I don't like is this perception of only men want that. I'm sick of that argument. Women want that too. And if we don't get it, we will look outside and make it happen for ourselves. Like, you niggas can be replaced too. And I know, because I done replaced several of you niggas. Okay, and I've had several of them say to me, I'm being for real, you guys. Oh my God, you just moved on like that? Yeah, the queen deserves what she deserves. Okay, I said what I said, and what I said ain't no bullshit. Okay. Nene also talked about the similarities between Greg and Cynthia and how they were very jovial on camera and neutral and likable, but behind the scenes, they could get you together. I believe all of that. I really saw Cynthia, a different side of Cynthia season 7 when she was over there up Kenya's ass and Claudia, and I'm all for her, you guys, having her own voice. I wasn't always a fan of how Nene treated her. I just wasn't always a fan of that either, and I wish on both sides that they would have honored their friendship more and not allowed the opinions of other people to break them apart. I think they had people trying to triangulate, within their friendship, like Kenya, okay, because Kenya was known for triangulating. Okay, I know, Team Twirl, y'all don't want to hear that, but we seen the heifer do it with Phaedra and Apollo, try to get in the middle of their marriage, and then had the audacity to cry season 12 when other women was trying to get in the middle of her and Mark's marriage. Okay, you can't do that. Whatever you give out comes right back, okay? It may not happen when you think it will happen, but it's coming for that ass. Okay, what goes around comes right back around. Okay, and that's why a lot of people didn't feel sorry for Kenya. It was like, shit, now you get how it feels to be married and, somebody is disrespecting you in public and, you trying to put up a united front, to, hold your man down, and he being disrespectful. He's being, uncooperative. Kenya really experienced that, like what the other girls went through with Phaedra and Apollo going to prison, and Kenya was kind of making fun of that, and didn't she accuse him of having allegedly having AIDS or something, and she had said Phaedra slept with a convicted felon. Like, yeah, Kenya was very nasty. She called Portia Cordell's beard. So, like, when you make those type of comments, you're not being sensitive to, how those women felt about their marriages. Even if they was with the wrong man, you wouldn't want anybody talking about you. So why would you do it, to other people? Even the whole thing, season 12 with Tanya and the cookie lady. Why you bringing her around when your nigga is allegedly messing around on you? But like I always say, misery loves company. Okay? And yes, Tanya and Paul ain't together, I believe. That's what I heard, but that's neither here nor there. You are to respect other people's relationships and marriages. You don't make fun of them. You wouldn't want nobody to do that to you. That's why I didn't feel bad for her season 12 when Nene was clowning her ass. I was like, get her. Get her ass. She talked about Cynthia and Peter and how a lot of people misjudged Cynthia because, Cynthia would kick Peter out of the house. Peter was always arrogant and, he was loud and opinionated. Nene didn't necessarily care for that at first. They would butt heads. They still do to this day. She talked about that. Nene also talked about, she will probably find a great guy to spend her life with, but Greg Leaks was the great love of her life. She will never, find love like that. I believe that. Greg was one of a kind. You know, he was a stand-up guy. He wasn't perfect, but he really loved and supported Nene and allowed her to be the star within that marriage. Unlike, you know, this YONI guy, he looked like he owned some clout chasing bullshiggity. But Nene mentioned that she didn't know what to do with herself after Greg passed. She had spent her 20s with Greg, 30s, 40s, and 50s, a little bit of that with Greg. And, that's painful. So I know a lot of people was like, damn, you didn't take the time to grieve and, you already in another relationship. But she said that the guy, YONI, he saved her. He would invite her out, her and her friends, to go hang out, and it began to distract her away from Greg's passing. She also mentioned she had met him after, a little bit after Greg had passed. So I'm happy that, the guy, YONI, was able to help her with that. Cause I couldn't imagine, going through something like that with somebody you have known for such a long time, and they loved you, and y'all done had all these ups and downs, and now they're gone. You're never going to see them again, So my heart really goes out to Nene. Hopefully she finds somebody really special in the future. Rest in peace to Greg Leakes, honey. I love him. He is probably my favorite. Yeah, he's my favorite Real Housewives of Atlanta husband. And I told y'all, every man I dated, I think I dated maybe 2 to 3 guys while the show has been on. They all love Nene. I never asked them to love Nene, but I would be like, who's your favorite? Nene, I like her. Okay? And then they always loved Nene and Greg. I thought that was just so interesting because they my favorite Real Housewives of Atlanta couple. Just real. Just like if Nene was getting out of line, Greg would check her and say, hey, babe, calm down. Look at it like this. He was always that voice of reason and logic, So she needs that in her life again. They talked about how Real Housewives of Atlanta became a pop culture phenomenon. They also talked about how Nene and Cynthia didn't really know each other, okay, when Cynthia first started. I was always curious about that. But they put the two of them together, and I'm getting ready to play that audio of Nene talking about that time.
So the first 2 seasons, like you said, ratings galore, ratings increased, breaking records. Season 1, you guys were mentioned on Saturday Night Live. This show was a pop culture phenomenon. Season 3 came in, you had Cynthia and Peter, in addition to Faith and Apollo. Mm-hmm. You and Cynthia did not know each other, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were told to hang out with Cynthia to get to know her, to bring her in on the show.
Yes. Yeah, so the producers told me they were looking at a new girl. Her name was Cynthia. They'd love for me to go out with her. She and I decided to go out to like a lunch or dinner or something. And I remember we went to Papa Do's. And I remember Cynthia being like super nervous, like, oh my God, this is Nene Leakes. And we went to Papa Do's.
Did you know who she was?
I did not.
Okay.
I'd never heard of her.
She a damn supermodel, Nene. Okay. So what do y'all think about that part? Cynthia was very popular. She was so popular. This is how I know. Because my mom used to collect like the Essence magazine books. She had a collection. And I remember I would go through the Essence magazines and Cynthia was in there. I was like, this Cynthia from Real Housewives of Atlanta, just strutting her stuff, looking all beautiful and stuff. So Cynthia was known. I don't know what the hell you talking about, Nene. I don't know if she was trying to shade her, but maybe she really didn't know who she was, because she wasn't out there like a Naomi, like a Campbell, like a Tyra, like Tyra, Naomi, Beverly Johnson, the top girls, right? She wasn't like that, but she definitely was a hard worker. She definitely was in, different catalogs and stuff. So what do y'all think about that?
She was a supermodel.
I still had not heard of her. The only supermodels I had heard of was Naomi and Tyra and maybe a couple other black girls, and Beverly. But I had never heard of Cynthia.
Okay. She was on the Cosby Show, too.
I didn't see it.
Okay.
Y'all try it.
Okay, so
this is the truth.
I believe you. So Cynthia Bailey, the supermodel, she was starstruck when she met you.
And rightly so.
Okay. So how did that go with Papa?
Look at Nene, rightly so. Come on, Nene.
And Papa Do's, we clicked. I liked her. I think she liked me. I felt like she was a little nervous. I didn't think that she was like housewife material, just being honest. And I was like, she's a little quiet. She's a little this. I don't know that she is the one that you guys are looking for. But I really enjoyed her and I liked her. And that was before I met Peter.
Now, when you met Peter, what did you think of him?
When I met Peter, I thought too much. He was doing it.
Too much.
Too much. I was like, oh, okay, I see why y'all like Cynthia now. Because he was turned up. He had like a club in downtown Atlanta. I think it was called Uptown or something like that. Yes. And
shame on Peter. Okay, was over there messing up Cynthia's credit. Y'all remember when they was all broke season 3? Okay, trying to pay for their damn wedding. Peter, all owed all these people. Look, ain't a damn thing changed, honey, okay? Because I got a video coming up on about old Peter, okay, and how he don't like to pay his workers, honey, okay?
And he was just extremely, aggressive to me and just, loud. And I was just like, oh, my God. Like, Cynthia's, this is her guy. And so, yeah, I got why they like Cynthia, because Peter was extra.
If Cynthia was not with Peter Thomas, would she have been a housewife?
I don't think so. I don't. I just don't think, not that she couldn't, because I know Cynthia. I know the Cynthia in front of the camera, and I know Cynthia that's not on camera. And so I feel like definitely the Cynthia that's not on camera has the strength, and she's vocal enough to be on the show, for sure, without Peter.
Now, really quickly, guys, season 3 is when Cynthia and Peter came on. They added a lot to this show. To me, they made it pop. Okay, same way Kenya and Portia made it pop season 5, season 6. Cynthia and Peter really changed the game because they were relatable. They were broke. They were struggling. Hell, they was kind of like the rest of us. Okay, because normally when you see these shows, they are so lavish. The reality stars are so rich. They don't have any money problems. But Peter and Cynthia had all of the above, honey. Okay, and Peter just had this no-nonsense personality. He was bossy. He was edgy. He was rude, but he was great. Reality TV. It was never a dull moment with Peter around. They need to start offering contracts to some of these men. I think they should try to get Peter back on the show. Look, that would help Peter financially. Peter needs his own show on Bravo. He's very entertaining. He's ruthless. He's good reality TV. They need to stop focusing so much on the women and get some men. I think that would kind of change the dynamics of the show. And just make it just like, I don't know. They definitely need to recast the ladies now. Like, all of them can go. You could keep Marlo and Sonya. Let's keep Drew and all this stuff with Ralph, honey. This is some good TV. And then after that, Drew can go. Like, let's get rid of Sheree, Kenya, and Candy. Like, we need new blood. We really do, you guys.
But on camera, I felt like she never really wanted to show that side of her because of, listen, Cynthia can read, and I'm the one that told you guys on camera. I said, no. Cynthia doesn't read, honey. Cynthia reads, honey.
We saw that season 12 when she got Marlo together out of town. Okay, that was funny.
And so I know Cynthia, and I know what she does. So, yeah, Cynthia's pretty fire, and let me tell you, she put Peter in his place many days.
Oh, absolutely. I've been witness of that.
Yes,
she would cuss Peter out.
Yes, she would. And people would be like, oh, Peter's just running over Cynthia.
No.
Cynthia who?
It seemed like that, though, on the show. It really did look like that. Because Peter would just be so aggressive with Cynthia. It did feel like he was running her. Nene also talked about how she regrets discipline. Look, can't even get the words out, honey, okay? Child, she got BRYSON together on camera. Okay, y'all remember that, okay? I felt like that was necessary. That was Nene's real life, but she says she regretted it because it embarrassed BRYSON. It didn't embarrass his ass enough. He still didn't get his act together. Okay, so, child, I don't know about all that, Nene. But she talked about how her children didn't ask to be on reality TV, and, she did. This is her job. So she always, felt bad for them, As far as Bryson is concerned, she feels like when it comes to his addiction issues, he has to be ready to really put in the work to, overcome his addiction issues. And I agree with her when it comes to that. You can't make anybody do anything. He has to want it for himself. So hopefully Bryson gets it together. I wish him and his wife and his kids, honey, all the best. She also talked about dating the guy, John, the Italian guy, the guy that gave her the Rolex, and how he didn't fulfill her the way that Greg did, but she loved spending his money, okay? So I thought all of that was interesting. She also talked about Portia being a dingbat, okay, with that whole 265 days out the year, honey. I was like, ooh, Portia, child. She was giving ditzy Jessica Simpson, honey. Jessica Simpson is another Cancer, honey. Ooh, child. My Cancer girls, honey. Okay, that was funny, though, with Portia. I was like, damn. Y'all remember with the whole Underground Railroad thing? She thought it was a real train. And ooh, child, Portia. You remember what Kenya used to say? She was like, it's just offensive that this girl is so dumb. I said, Kenya. That was funny though. They also talked about how Portia was on the chopping block, I guess after season 5, and Candy and Nene went to the network and kind of convinced them to keep Portia. That's why Nene was so pissed off at Portia season 10 when she came back and Portia was over there. Yeah, I just feel like people are trying to take away my blessings. It's like, girl, I'm trying to help you keep your blessing. Okay, and Portia at that time was acting like a victim and wasn't really taking accountability for what she had did to Candy. To me, in my opinion, you all may disagree, but I always felt like, in a way, Portia was worse than Phaedra. Portia was the one talking about that dungeon stuff. Yeah, Phaedra may have put that in her head, but I don't think Phaedra told her stupid ass to get all on camera talking about that. See, there's a difference with Phaedra and Portia. Especially at that time. Portia was the old dingbat, just speaking out the side of her ass and just, saying stuff at the wrong time. She lacked maturity. She lacked timing. Phaedra kind of had that. She knew, okay, let me say this, let me say that. I'm still not in agreement with some of the stuff she was saying season 9, because I feel like if something is not true, don't repeat it. That's just kind of how I feel, but she felt, upset with how Candy was assassinating her character, honey, and coming for her and, taking her husband's side, honey, against hers, and Candy did do that. She was over there with Todd for my manning it, okay, for my man. I don't talk about my man, my money, or my food. Phaedra was the one that hooked Todd and Candy up, but Candy didn't care about that. Long as she had a dick and drawers in her bed, honey, she did not care. Okay, threw old Phaedra by the wayside. I think that really hurt Phaedra, and then that's kind of when she got on that Scorpio stuff, like, I'm gonna get your ass, girl. Okay, so they also talked about how season 6 was the best cast ever. That's the second season I bought. I bought season 2. I love that season. And season 6 had a great cast. Perfect. Everybody. Nene, Phaedra, Kenya, Portia, Todd, like Peter and Greg and Apollo. Like, it was a dream team, honey. They also talked about how Kenya wasn't the star of the show. And I think Nene didn't see her as the star of the show because at that time she wasn't the show. She wasn't married, didn't have kids, kept bringing on all these fake boyfriends. That kind of waters you down, as somebody looking at you as the star. Do y'all kind of see It's just like, yeah, I can't respect you because your storylines, they're fake. They're made up. They're for TV. So I think that's why Nene never truly respected Kenya. I think she felt she was good for the show, and she was. We will always give Kenya her props, but she would just be pulling stuff out of the crack of her ass. And it didn't come off natural all the time. So I think that, like I said, that was a nail in her coffin. Okay, so she has some last words, honey, to talk about when it comes to Kenya, and I agree with everything she's saying.
And I'm not sure, but I can say this: I don't think Kenya and I ever clicked like people think we should have. I don't think we ever had that moment where we really and when we did have times when we were cool, like if you remember, she was living in a hotel and I visited her, and do you remember that? I think I talked about her refrigerator, or this is the ghetto. Ooh, honey child, this is the ghetto child.
White refrigerator.
Yeah. And so I think that was probably one of the closest time we've ever been. I've liked her. I saw her recently too in Neiman Marcus, and of course I said hi. I don't,
What did y'all talk about?
nothing. We just hi from afar. Hi.
Why you gonna go up and have a conversation?
I would have. I mean, I wasn't against. I don't have any problem with these girls, but we just kind of said hey, and she went on her way and I went on my way.
As you should, okay? As you should.
Yeah, I don't think that we ever had the chance to do that, because when she came on the first season, I felt like she had an alliance with Phaedra. So, and me and Phaedra was kind of bumping heads a little bit, but she was down with Phaedra. And then her and Phaedra ended up bumping heads. And then she started being, I'm not sure if it was Candy or who it was. She kind of played with Candy a little bit, but not a whole lot. And then her and Candy got close later down the line. And then she started coming from my best friend Cynthia. And so I just feel like we just never got a chance to get totally cool like most people think that we would have gotten.
Child, that was the truth. That was the truth right there, Nene. Yes, all of that happened. Okay, so before we get to these comments, Nene talks about what went wrong with her friendship with Cynthia, and I agree with this as well.
What went wrong with you and Cynthia's friendship? Do you think people thinking Cynthia was weak, and people saying you let Nene run over you?
Yeah.
Maybe even Peter allegedly may have said those things to her too. Mm-hmm. Do you think the destruction of your friendship with Cynthia came because she let people get into her ear about you?
I think Cynthia definitely let people get in her head. A lot of girls, even Marlo was even at a point where she was like, oh, they think that you telling me what to do, bossing me around. And, I feel like those girls wanted to have their own identity, which they did, but they would always let people get in their head, like, Nene is running this, Nene is, and it wasn't even like that.
And my whole thing of it is, why are y'all mad that Nene got friends on the show? Looking back, it just always seemed like Candy and Kenya, they didn't want her to have nobody. Okay, specifically those two. Go back and watch the show, you guys. They just always... So Candy didn't this was even before Kenya got on the show. Candy didn't like Cynthia and Nene's friendship. Okay, she felt like Nene was territorial in her friendships, and we now see that Candy is the same way. Mayetta over there up her ass. Okay, she get mad at Sonya because Sonya is more cool with Sheree and Marlo than her. You're territorial too. That was one thing I hated about Candy. She always called Nene out for stuff, but she would do the same shit, just in a more passive-aggressive, subtle way, right?
It was like, we're friends and you know what our friendship is. Don't let somebody get in your head. We cool. You know I'm not running you. But I think they felt in their heart they need to prove it somehow. I don't know. I know that I loved Cynthia like she was my sister. We had a great friendship. And I think people watching us probably felt like I may have been more of the leader in the friendship, or I may have been more of something. They just don't know Cynthia.
Who is Cynthia behind the scenes that you wish people would see?
Cynthia is quite different than she is, on the scene. I think that Cynthia she's not going to let you run over her, so that's not possible. For people thinking that she's being ran over, or for people thinking that she's quiet, she's very opinionated. She has a lot to say, and she stands up for herself.
Why do you think she didn't want to show that in front of the camera? That's who she is.
There's a lot of these girls that come on the show and they don't show who they are. Remember, I made a conscious decision season 1 to just be who I am, right? And some of these girls come on and they just, I don't know, they play with their head. They're like, I don't want to be seen that way, or my family would die if I was seen that way.
I think Candy is like that too, you guys. She be trying to put on this, neutral front. But I think some of the viewers are, a lot smarter than we get credit for. And we can see certain narcissistic tendencies out of Kandi. It's not just, Kenya, can be toxic and negative. Kandi, can be the same way, but people, they love to say, well, Candy's so successful, you just can't see her like that. No, stop being blinded by somebody's success and really look at their character. Really look at the stuff that they say and do. Like I said, I will be talking more about that in my Kandi Doesn't Have Empathy video. She wouldn't even get up to join the rest of the girls in hugging and supporting Nene at the season 7 reunion. Even Kenya got her ass up and had empathy for Nene, and Kandi was just looking all bewildered. She had that same poker face on when Phaedra, was about to hit Kenya with that pocketbook. Go back and watch it. It was Kandi like, what's going on? She was the last one to get up to support Phaedra. Meanwhile, she didn't want, Phaedra and Nene to be tight. She didn't want Phaedra to be real tight with Portia, she's weird, you guys. Like, she's not, this perfect person that everybody tries to make her out to be.
Husband doesn't want me to do this. My boyfriend said I can't do that. And so they just create some character. And I just think that Cynthia never wanted people to really see her be, as she liked to say, 50 cents.
That's so funny. Let's get into these comments, honey, because it's only right. Let's see what the people think. Okay, so one person says, Nene looks amazing. This interview went over so much information I don't think we realize as viewers. I can't wait for part 2. Me either, honey. I will be talking about that too. Another person says, when Nene speaks of Greg, she speaks in the present tense. You could tell how much she loved and respected him. Everyone deserves that kind of love. Another person says, I personally just love when Nene talks about stuff other than housewives. She is so smart and thoughtful. I love how she really gets vulnerable in this interview. Another person says, I love how authentic Nene is, and the chemistry between her and Carlos King is amazing. Another person says, 500,000 views in 2 days. That lets you know that she is missed on television. Yeah, Nene is still that girl, still charismatic, still quick-witted and shady, funny, beautiful. Like, she is that, she that girl. Okay? Miss Robinson only liked the best. Okay? Another person says, Nene really rocked this interview. She was very transparent. Another person says, season 6 was the most iconic season. The best cast, Nene, Kandi, Portia, Kenya, Phaedra, and Cynthia. I often rewatch that season. Yes. That's my favorite too. Another person says, Nene needs to be back on TV. I love this interview because it was so refreshing. The natural chemistry between you two broke down all the guarded walls. Yeah, we needed this interview. So when people be like, but Carlos is obsessed with the housewives, and why is, does he always critique the show and he's influencing other people? No, he's speaking for the people. He really is. That's why his channel is growing, because he's speaking truth about these shows. He's like, show your reality. And that's what makes a great reality TV show, is when it's being produced correctly from somebody that cares. Carlos cares about these shows. And he used to produce the show. This was like his baby at one point. So why wouldn't he have so many critiques and opinions about it? Why wouldn't he scrutinize the episodes? I'm here for it. I don't always agree with him, but I'm here for it. Because when he was running this show, honey, and I love season 8 too. Even with Kim Fields, he produced that. They had to call him back to do that. So the man know what he doing. Okay, y'all better stop sleeping on Big Homie Los. Okay? Another person says, I'm so happy to see Nene happy. This made my day. She seems satisfied and peaceful. I love it. Another person says, I love how open Nene is here. Another person says, Nene is sorely missed on the screen. What a candid interview. Another person says, Nene needs her own show. And I hope Carlos can help facilitate that. That would be amazing. Because I think he understands her way more than Andy understands her or cares about her. More than Bravo would ever understand her. So yeah. Another person says, Nene is the ultimate housewife of all time. Real Housewives of Atlanta is nothing without you. Yeah, season 12 was the last best season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. After that, it just went, just went down. I mean, we have to admit that, guys. Okay? Yes, all the girls, bring something to the table. I'm not going to take that from them, even the ones I don't like. Everybody has their things, but it's just like we just need fresh blood at this point. We need some new women. Another person says, I have to say I was not always a Nene fan while she was on Real Housewives of Atlanta, but I have enjoyed this interview, especially since it felt like two friends catching up and kikiing. I feel like this is a point of view we have not heard. Thank you. And I appreciate Nene for sharing the importance of how Real Housewives of Atlanta was actually started, along with the highs and the lows of the show. Another person says this interview was so refreshing. The chemistry between Nene and Carlos was spectacular. Another person says, job well done, Nene and Carlos. Another person says this was the best interview Nene has given to date. Love it. Another person says Nene looks so stunning. Her energy feels light and upbeat. Another person says, this one interview has led to content creation all over social media as well as entertainment segments on television. Nene just has the it factor. And Carlos conducted this beautifully. Yeah, because he has a connection to the show. Andy couldn't have did this. No other content creator could have did this. Like, this was meant to be. This was wonderful for all of us to see, to get all the history about, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Because I think a lot of people, they be forgetting how stuff got started and who actually started it. Okay. Another person says Nene is just naturally entertaining and engaging. Real Housewives of Atlanta needs her back real bad. Another person says this interview was amazing and just something I didn't know I needed. It was such an eye-opening moment. No lies were told. More people say they love the interview. And honey, I loved it, okay? Another person says she needs her own show. I met her at the Lenithia Lounge back in 2021. It was super crowded and she was going around each table talking to everybody. She actually circled back around to me and took a picture with me. And that legit made my whole week. She was super nice. I'm happy that happened because, Nene gets a bad rap, sometimes. And I get, you guys, she could be a little over the top. Okay, well, not a little. She could be a diva, honey, okay? But this is my girl. I love her. I really do. Another person says, you forget how much you love Nene, not seeing her on screen as much. Yeah, I think this was really amazing for Nene. Another person says Nene is legendary and she needs her own show, period. She really has changed the game. Another person says, Carlos, I love this. Nene is so well spoken and the questions allowed us to really understand her points of view. This is one of my favorite Housewives interviews of all time, honey. Okay, and she is my favorite Real Housewife of all time. Okay, love you, Nene. Rest in peace, Greg, and I wish you all the best with your treatment, Bryson. And Brent, you hang in there too, baby. Miss Robinson, love you too. You keep doing what you do because he over there running the Lenithia Lounge. So shout out to him. All right, you guys, that's all I have to say about that, honey. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about this here video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I am your girl, brand new, and I will check you guys out in the next video.